What is up? Kevin Hale here on this Sunday night, April 26th, 2026. Doing another round of shots. Drew, Trace hanging with me. TB, Terry Brown will be joining us shortly. Drew, how are you, bud? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Good. Trace, or however you pronounce your name. I'm joking.
Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah, I know.
How are you? Happy to be back on the round of shots. It's always a blast with you guys.
Good stuff. Thank you, man. Getting the chat, people joining us. Do us a solid, people hanging with us. Give us a follow, a like on the social media. Thumbs up, all that good stuff. It will help us tremendously. And, and if you really like Drew's hair, give it 2 thumbs up. Drew, what's the maintenance with your hair?
Nothing. It's just natural. It's just there. Thick, curly hair.
Just there.
I'm very jealous of you.
In my 5 head is very jealous of you too.
Rando said the same thing.
Yeah. All right. We got some topics to talk about tonight. Let's I don't know, TB. I know he was here in Louisville over the weekend and he jetted back to Iowa. So hopefully he'll definitely join us soon. So let's go on. Let's talk some stuff, guys. Drew, our boy. UK football recruiting updates. What can you tell us? Well, let me start. There is definitely buzz with the football program. Nationally, depending on what rankings you follow, you like, top 10. What Stein is this class he's put together. He made some comment recently, and this goes back to his recent time at Oregon, how impressed he is right now with this offensive line. Obviously, that was a big deal to get some beef, get the studs in here. But go ahead, Drew. What you got?
Yeah, well, back to the offensive line topic. I thought it was interesting. I don't remember where he said it on. It might have been with Matt Jones on the KSR, but he said
I think it was
a lot of offensive line finalists for the year, which is top 5 in consideration. And he said this might be the best group he has been around yet. So that's pretty alarming and something to monitor, because that could be a huge development throughout the year, obviously, if offensive line plays good. But we got another commit this week, Antoine Higgins Jr. He's an edge, 4-star out of Cincinnati, Ohio, 6'2", 230, ranked number 9 in Ohio, 29 edge, and then the number 293 overall recruit in the country per on 3. So another big time commit, just continuing to stack. I don't know necessarily where they stand with some other guys or some guys to monitor, but I've been saying it every week. Like, this is the time when the staff is trying to close on recruitments and they, keep popping and getting guys. There was another tight end recruit as well. I can't remember his name, but from Lexington, I think it was Lexington Catholic.
Yeah.
So, they just continue to get, stack recruitments, getting commitments. And now, their job is to hold on to them. Obviously, teams will continue to recruit them up until signing day. Kentucky's going to do the same with some guys that they've lost in recruitment. But they just continue to keep, doing what they can do and stacking commitments and hopefully, continue to put together an impressive class.
TB in the house. Terry, how are you, brother?
I'm doing well, man. Had a quick in and out to back home in Louisville, so I'm back in Iowa. So glad to be able to come on.
And I won't try my best to keep this short and sweet, so you can get to your Lakers. Lakers are playing.
Yeah, hopefully they sweep tonight, man. That's my hope.
All right, let's stay. I'll just stay with you, Terry. Again, the buzz. We're talking about football, the portal, everything with what Stein has done. I'd mentioned, depending on the rankings, platforms that you follow, top 10. After we had the spring game April 18th. Kenny Minchie was clearly a hot topic of that spring game. We talked about the big blue wall, rebuilding the big blue wall. But what you got for me?
The thing I like about Will Stein is, number one, there's enthusiasm. Like I said, I was back in Kentucky this weekend, and people are actually talking about Kentucky football, which is a step in the right direction, right? So there's that thing. I also think that when it comes to college football, it's like everybody wants to get to the next step. Everybody wants to get to the NFL. What can you do to help someone get to the next step, right? Will Stein's become an offensive guru. Like, he's had all these quarterbacks that make the leap. The offense is always good. And I say that because, again, I'm here in Iowa. Kirk Ferentz had his 100th player drafted since he's been there for the last 25 years. And that's the thing, is what can you hang your hat on as a program? And Will Stein, I'm hoping he gets to the point where it's the offense, right? Like, we all like to score 40 points a game. We all like to do that. It starts with the big blue wall. But Will Stein is a commodity out there in the college football world. And I think that's going to be great for Kentucky moving forward, right? If you're not Ohio State, if you're not Michigan or Indy, like, if you're not one of these top teams that guarantee playoffs every year, what do you do to separate yourself from everybody else, right? The other 120 teams in college Division I. And Will Stein being that offensive guru, it helps, right? It helps that he's like, I can get you where you need to go. Like, I know the focus is on college football, but these kids want to get to the next level. And Will Stein, figuring out his niche as being a guy that can do that, helps Kentucky.
Trace, jump in. What you got? What are you feeling?
I think Terry hit it great. I mean, with Will Stein, he has the association around him of he's a young, offensive-minded coach. He's exciting football to watch. I think these guys, just like he just got the number 2 quarterback in America immediately. Like, this is just new blood. I think these players, it's funny how quickly things can change. These players are wanting to come play for Will Stein. He's put a great staff together. They have right now a top 10 recruiting class. I mean, partially right now it's because it's early. They're getting a lot of commitments. Like, these other top programs don't have as many volume-wise, but they still got 5 3-stars, 5 4-stars, and plenty of time left to keep adding to it. So I'm super excited. And I saw Davo's comment there about the 4.5 wins. I might hammer that too. I mean, I know we got a gruesome schedule, but 4.5 wins. Will Stein is not. He might be a new head coach, but he's not new to high-profile football games. I mean, they won a lot of Oregon, so that's good advice from Davo. I hope you feel better, man.
Yep, same Davo. Miss you, bud. Drew, what's left? I mean, what is as far as filling out the needs, the portal needs? What stands out to you that we have to still get a hold of, make happen
with football?
Yeah, football, staying football.
Well, obviously, I mean the roster's set because there's no spring window now. But I think with the recruiting classes, like just get the talent you can get in the door and then go from there. I mean, you'll see it like guys will come in and they'll start as D tackles and they'll move to D ends, or they'll be
good point.
Yep. Maybe safeties and they get bigger and they'll move to linebacker or something like that. So, especially with football recruiting, like the biggest thing is just getting guys in the program and then developing them from there. But back to what we were talking about with Will Stein as well. Like think of the weekend that Will Stein had and Joe Sloan had with the NFL draft and the amount of guys that they had that were up under them or a part of them with offenses at Oregon or LSU and that they can sell there. I mean, we hear them talk about, Will Stein sending multiple guys to the Heisman Trophy finalists and Joe Sloan having Jaden Daniels who won it, but also the amount of guys that they've been around that they've sent to the NFL in the last couple of years, like that stuff matters in recruiting as well. So,
it means something, right,
yeah.
Drew? It means when college football, because there's so many people, there's so many recruits. What is it that you can do to separate yourself, right? And Will Stein has that cachet of like, hey, I'm working with these dudes in the NFL at the Heisman Trophy ceremony, and that carries weight. That's why you can get, like Trey said, the number 2 recruit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what it takes to get to that next level. No matter what happens this first year, you have to build that momentum, and Will Stein's doing a great job doing that.
Yep. Just kind of piggybacking too off this past week's NFL draft, what we had, I want to say, was it four starters, 4 players drafted, several obviously, the what do you call that? The free agent,
undrafted free agent,
undrafted. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, again, it's very exciting as a fan. I try to at least see a clip or two of Will Stein doing these interviews and stuff, and his enthusiasm, this is where he wants to be. At least he's, for now. And I think we're in good hands. Definitely in good hands. Who's behind you, Drew? What does that mean?
I don't know what he's talking about.
What?
Maybe there's a ghost or something behind me. I don't know.
Well, I mean, could be.
I don't know. I got Anthony Davis over my shoulder, so that's who's behind me.
Yeah. And look, who's over your shoulder? Is that Davis too? Trace?
Oh, take it away.
Oh, wait. Okay, good. All right.
I don't know how he got there.
All right, let's shift gears to the men's basketball team. Portal recruiting updates. Drew, talk.
Yeah. So got a commitment on Friday, I believe. It was Usman Jai. Big, versatile, just athletic guy who's still developing, very raw, it seems, on, the offensive side of the ball with some skill and stuff like that. But super big. I think he's 6'11", long wingspan, just a great athlete as well. I don't put in a lot of stock on the international guys in terms of preseason stuff because it's hard. Some guys hit, some guys don't. But I think when you just look at the tools, right, like his length and athleticism and some of those things, like that stuff should translate in terms of the skill stuff and, the shot creativity and the efficiency and those things. Like we don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
So, for him, I think it was a good pickup. He has a lot of tools, but now you got to unlock it out of him. So we'll see if Mark Pope can do that. And then, Zion Hawthorne is well committed this last week. Braden Hawthorne's younger brother, who is a 6'1", 6'2" kind of combo guard, who's, probably going to be more of a practice player, which you need. And then, a guy that maybe can develop one day. And as, his career goes on, if he wants to stay at Kentucky, maybe when he's a junior or senior can crack the rotation and be a backup guard or something like that. So pretty cool story, though, between Zion and Braden. They both announced. Braden announced he was returning, and Zion announced his signee in like a 10-minute span. So that was a pretty cool thing. But yeah, and then obviously we heard multiple reports that Kentucky offered Jamal Crawford, an official assistant coaching job. So we'll see kind of how that plays out. I haven't really heard anything new. I think it's kind of a waiting game if he wants to do it or not. Jamal obviously is an assistant coach at Rainier Beach, where his son JJ plays and will be a sophomore next year. He's working on TNT or something, NBA media coverage. So,
yep.
The Kentucky assistant job obviously is a great job, but it's not like, Jamal Crawford doesn't already have a good job in basketball in one way, shape, or form. So we'll see. Maybe Kentucky can pull it off. Maybe they don't. And then, with Tyron Stokes, obviously there was some buzz. Jeff Goodman reported he thinks Tyron could commit tomorrow. Nothing official, obviously. So we'll see. I mean, it's the same Tyron Stokes story.
Forget Goodman. What does Drew think happens tomorrow?
I don't know. I mean, he could commit. He could not commit. It's just a guessing game at this point. I'm not going to say he's committing or not until he officially says it or he officially commits. So we'll see how that goes. And then Mika Murinen does commit tomorrow morning. I think Kentucky's they were pushing him really hard back in the early winter time, springtime, but kind of faded off due to where he was playing overseas and those things. But I think Arkansas is probably the expected destination. Kentucky's made a push as of late, but we'll see if it's enough. He would be a great pickup if they could add him. Just another really talented, long, big, athletic, skilled big man who has tons of potential. Justin McBride, transfer from James Madison, a 6'7", 6'8" forward, was on a visit to Kentucky, canceled his Louisville visit while here. I think a lot of people expected him to commit and sign. It didn't happen. And since then, I don't know if anybody else has any more information, but it's been kind of quiet as far as what I could gather. So we'll see, maybe did the Usman commitment, push him back? Does he want a starting spot? As their financial negotiations going on? We'll see with that. Something to monitor. And then other than that, I mean, Kentucky's had 10 guys right now. And if you ask me, I think it's been a little bit of a disappointing offseason, but, there's still room.
There's my little segue.
Yeah. But, I think finally, I think they need another guard. I think they need a wing, obviously Tyron Stokes potentially, or maybe some, Tunde Yesufu or Milan Momcilovic if they decide to pull out of the draft, or just another wing in general. And then probably I would say two more bigs just to be safe for some depth. And maybe, one of those guys could compete for the starting 4 spot. And then maybe that 15th roster spot, maybe another guard or another wing just to round out the roster and bring some practice, flexibility and stuff. But we'll see. I think these last 4, or they need 5 more additions. I think 4 of them need to be legitimate rotational potential starting caliber players. If Kentucky wants to be a SEC contender, national championship Final Four contender.
Let me Trace, you jump in. I don't want to be a party pooper, but when I look at the 10 that are on, that are part of the roster right now, I'm not exactly dazzled as a Kentucky fan who expects some elite players, elite talent. Talk to me, chat me up with your thoughts.
As Drew said, and kind of like I mentioned to you before we went live, it is so far to this point been kind of a disappointing offseason in the transfer portal. You got no high school recruits coming in. I don't think Tyron Stokes is coming to Kentucky. I really don't. I also don't believe he's committing on Monday to anywhere. I think this is just the game that's going to keep on going and going until it happens. I believe any timeline that we've had 8 of them already, and I just don't think he's coming to Kentucky. Kentucky desperately needs him. If you look at this roster we got right now, as of today, the roster is worse than it was last year, in my opinion. I think losing Colin Chandler really, really hurt. I was more high on Colin Chandler than most people, but he had a huge improvement from year 1 to year 2. I think this next year would have been great. BYU expects him to be a top 3 or 4 guy on their roster. At least that's what they're paying him for. I think also, I don't think Kentucky expected to be this bad off, because now when you're looking at it, it looks like we would have been better off keeping some of the players we had of where we're at now. I mean, I don't think we thought we would fill Mo Diabate's spot. In my opinion, the international guy, I mean, I'm not high on international players as well. Big Z was kind of a letdown outside of the Georgia game. Yelovich was okay, but I think that film overseas doesn't translate entirely to college basketball. So
Agreed.
A lot of overhyped. You see a 7-footer shooting threes, but no one's guarding them. It's 0 for 2 essentially in terms of the hype. I remember last summer when we learned about Yelovich, I mean, you would have thought Luka Doncic was coming here. You thought that he was like stud. He was all right. He wasn't bad, but we're done with him after 1 year, so that tells you how it went.
But in fairness too, and I'm not going to mention names, but this is where I struggle with our all these platforms, BBN platforms, BBN podcasts, BBN shows, and all these players. I mean, I just like the guys that I would expect to say, give me a summary, feedback on a player. They always paint this like, to your point, Lucas Doncic isn't that he's coming, that kind of thing, and and it's just Terry. Go ahead.
Well, it's hard. It's hard because we have high school, college, pro over here in America. Europeans do things differently. And it's really hard to look over there and try to discern who's going to apply to where. It just is. So for my money, I think Drew said, like, you take that with a grain of salt, right? Like, you don't know who these guys are playing. You don't know anything about the league that they're in, short of the national team. You just hope you get a guy that can turn out, right? Like the NFL, the NBA has had misses, right? Like Darko Milicic, right, was looking great until he got to stateside. So it's just a crapshoot, and you hope you can find the raw tools to make them whatever, right?
Right.
The difference is, like, Illinois has Pedro Stojakovic's son, right? He's the son of an NBA player, and a lot of those guys on Illinois like played with him. So they know the quality of the players they're getting in Illinois. For a lot of teams, you don't know who you're getting. Like, who's the top rating guy in Slovakia? No one really knows, right? So it's a lot of trying to figure this thing out on the fly. So Tracer said, like, hey, we don't know what we're getting. You hope you get somebody good.
Let's go back to what we've got. And TB, I'll ask you the same. These 10, I think, was it Trace said it? I think he said it. These 10, this roster right now the roster itself is worse than last year's. Clearly worse than last year's.
I'm not moved, right? Like, I think we need to have serious conversations. People think I'm anti-Pope, but I'm like, I'm old enough to look at
I
Kentucky
think that was our
basketball
president. Joking. That's a joke.
Like, it's. I'm not moved. Like, people think that we're just enamored with John Calipari, right? And having these studs. Look, Tayshaun Prince was a stud. Rick Pitino brought in studs. Sam Bowie was a stud. Kenny Walker was a stud. Kyle Macy, stud. Kentucky brings in top guys. Now we're in this world where it's like, I don't know
the
Kentucky needs
name
a
on the
dude.
front, the
And
name on the front is not the influence that it used to be.
And I don't know that it was ever a big influence. It was an influence like I can come to Kentucky and get to the next step. That's not me saying it. That's Jamal Mashburn saying I can come to Kentucky, play for Rick Pitino, and get to the next step. He has said that, right? So I think as fans, we need to take a step back. The name on the front, a little bit transactional. What I'm saying is Mark Pope needs his guy. I think I said this last week, right? Joe B. Hall had Kevin Greavy as a SEC Player of the Year All-American as a sophomore, right? Eddie Sutton had Rex Chapman.
Yep.
Rick Pitino got Jamal Mashburn. Tubby Smith got Tayshaun Prince.
Yep.
All-American SEC caliber player, SEC Player of the Year caliber player to come play. And we know that John Calipari had John Wall. I hope and I pray that Stokes is that guy for Pope.
You just said something right there, Terry, that is not supposed to be ever mentioned when it comes to Kentucky basketball. Not that. I hope and I pray. We should not have to be praying for our roster at this program. You know,
I think I agree with you, Kevin, but I think, at least in my point of view, I think we got a real awakening when we went through the coaching search with Pope and where we landed on who we missed out on, and now with North Carolina, and now these recruits going. I think my eyes have finally opened that the Blue Bloods, unfortunately, don't carry as much weight as they used to. And
no,
I never saw that coming, but unfortunately, I think that's how it is.
Well, but to your point there, Trace, the coaching search that happened, after Tubby. Look who we had to settle for. That was Gillespie, number choice 6 or 8, and then when Gillespie left, obviously Calipari wanted the job after Tubby. He wanted to be here, and actually, it's funny. It's a good thing that Calipari did not follow Tubby, because what would have possibly happened is Derrick Rose came here, and we all know what went on with D Rose. Now maybe, I don't know, but anyways, I guess my point on this is that, and then with Coach Pope, he wasn't the first choice. What was he? Choice 4 or 5?
These 5 are loaded.
Yeah, elite coaches
and Kevin, I've said this forever. Every fan base thinks their job is the best job ever until it's open.
We've got history to prove that, though.
Well, I know we all like to think about the Eddie Sutton, that he would crawl from Fayetteville to Lexington to take this job, right? That's not the way it works. Right. Anytime the job comes open, people say no, right? It's not what we think. We have seen really good jobs go to lesser people, right? Because it's not what we think as fans. With this whole Pope and everything, like, y'all make me defend Indiana fans. Indiana is a great job. Okay, Indiana basketball is a great job.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tough to get the right guy in. Nebraska football is a great job, but it's tough to get people because it's more than just X's and O's. A lot of really good coaches don't want the extra.
Right.
And can you blame them? Right? If you can make considerable the same money at Arizona State, why are you going to Kentucky and have to deal with the BBN? Right? Like, why would you go to Nebraska and have to deal with the Nebraska fans? Like, people think that the fans, because I've seen people like, we don't want to be Indiana because Indiana fans just gave up. No, they didn't. No, like, they didn't. They just hired bad coaches. The Indiana fans I know still want to win like they did in 1987. I'm here in the Midwest. Those Nebraska fans still want to win, but they don't have a coach that can do that.
Well, Dougie Hudson's saying we should have went after. I don't think. Well, Donovan was locked in with the Bulls. I mean, he wasn't leaving. It didn't matter what college job. Donovan was not ready to leave at that time. So yeah.
Also,
Go
on
ahead.
our last topic right before Donovan that we were talking about, also one thing I try to remind myself as well, it's been over a decade since Kentucky's been to a Final Four. These players that are 18 and 19, a decade ago, they were 8 and 9. You think they remember truly, like, have vivid memory of the the 2015, 2016, all those teams before? No, they don't. And we all do. It wasn't that long ago, but when you're 18 and 19 at 8 and 9, you don't remember a whole lot. And so Kentucky is not truly the Kentucky of we know it as that has been, because the farther you get away from being relevant in history, the more it's less irrelevant. And UConn, they see UConn, they see Arizona, they see all these other teams. It ain't just Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina, Kansas anymore. It's just not. Unfortunately.
Can I just say this though?
You could say whatever you want, brother.
Pope's in a lot of recruitments for a lot of the big guys. There's just a disconnect in closing. It would be different if Kentucky wasn't even operating in the same ballpark as those recruits. For whatever reason, they just can't close the job. And that's why I say, like, it's not so much about the name on the front anymore about Kentucky, what you mentioned, Trace. Like, it's not the way that it used to be, because you're not signing up just to play for the name across the front. Like, there's a lot that goes into recruiting now. Like, you got to find the coach, the right guy to make it happen. And for whatever reason, I have a ton of belief in Pope as a coach, just pure basketball, but I have about as 5% level of confidence in him in actually recruiting and closing the deals, which at the end of the day, like, you can be a great coach, but you got to have dudes. And like, Otega was a great player, but Otega on a really good team would probably be a number 2 option. And instead we needed him to play like Superman last year to even and make some heroic shots for Kentucky to even be in a decent spot that they were in.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Is we're asking dudes to be superhuman. Mm-hmm. And that's not fair. We should have a dude on the roster.
Well, dudes who are incapable of being superhuman. Some guys they're just built like that. Like AJ DeBanza, he's built to be superhuman. All these guys, Darius Acuff and Darren Peterson and particularly Tyron Stokes. Like, Kentucky has to get those guys. We can't ask a guy like Otega Owe, who came in from Oklahoma. Yeah, he developed a ton, but Kentucky was asking him to do things that, like, he probably didn't even do in high school.
Yeah, same as Wilson.
And there's
go ahead, Terry.
I said there's a comment here from S. King, like, Kentucky keeps being in the top 5 and the top 3 and not closing. What does that mean? And I only say that because for 100 years of Kentucky basketball, we've closed on these dudes, right? Mm. We got Pat Riley from upstate New York. We got dudes to come play, and all of a sudden we can't. That's what I'm asking. Is like, we've done this, but we can't do it all of a sudden anymore.
I think with the new guidelines, where money is a factor, the new guidelines of what college basketball is today versus what it was 5 years ago, I think we just haven't got caught up. Not necessarily caught up. We haven't mastered the new world of college basketball, unfortunately. I think that's what the delay is. We're a couple years behind.
But my point, Trace, is Kentucky's never been behind. Like, my point is, because I'm the Negro on the panel, if you remember 1966 with Texas Western and the big deal of the all-black starting 5 beating the all-black or the all-white starting 5, and within Joby Hall getting here, we're runners-up and then we're national champions within 8 years. Right. The three-point shot comes in 1987, And by 1989, we have Patino's Bambinos. In 2008, we hear about the NBA one and dones. And by 2009, we now go on a run where we're Elite Eight or better in 5 of 6 years.
Mhm.
So when people tell me the world is changing, my pushback is Kentucky figures it out, and it figures it out quick. That's what I'm saying. Every
I agree.
time there's a rule
But-
change, Kentucky figures it out, and now all of a sudden it's supposed to be, well, you know, they get money now, so it's different. We are Kentucky.
I 100% agree. I'm in full agreement with you. It's just we haven't figured it out yet. That's why we're behind.
But that's what I'm saying.
And-
Well, let me jump in.
And
real
we
quick,
need
Terry.
to.
We need
That's on
to,
the
but
show.
Paul's traveling and he's joining us.
What's up,
from-
guys?
Hey, Paul. Thanks for
So,
Hey, Paul.
if I can jump in just there, like
go.
TV, I agree with what you're saying, but like knowing the side of the NIL and things like that I've been involved with, this is not as much a program issue this is not like the basketball program issue, right? This is an institutional ideological philosophical issue. Mitch Barnhart, and this is a proven fact, was late on NIL. We had dudes that were running NIL that had no business operating the NIL space, especially when it came to basketball. And that's what really did it. So like when we have these conversations, I agree with you, like we should figure it out. But Mitch didn't figure it out because A, he was late, and B, we had people who should not have been running it to begin with there. So now we have
Absolutely.
the situations we have now where whether I think it's just a cocktail of, I think Pope is a great, probably X's and O's coach. I don't think he's like Will Stein, where Will Stein's walking into the building. He's like, oh yeah, I changed the catwalk and didn't tell him, right? I think he's way too soft from that. Like you have to have a guy that's going to come in here and go, this is stupid as hell. Right. And that's what we did too, right? TV, like we got Patino, massive personality. We got Cal, massive personality. No, we're going to go get the one and dones, right? The coach kind of forced the change as well. But in the NIL era, you've had these hiccups from the Mitch administration that's really thrown this off. You saw it with football too. I'm a shitty coach. Mark Stoops didn't adapt, and you had an administration that didn't adapt, and then you had a team that sucked.
I'm with you guys, but again, I'm a Negro. I have talked to Negro people. Like the switch to we are going to work on integration was huge, and I think that gets underplayed by a lot of non-Negro people. Like that was a big deal, and we underplay that to boost up a guy we like.
But did we also have an administration that I don't know a lot about the history, so I'm about that. Right?
Give me just a second. We had a governor go to Wes Unseld of Seneca High School, where I went, and went to Rupp and said, you need to get this guy on campus, and it didn't work. And then Joe B showed up and made it work. We keep thinking that what we're going through is new and unusual and all this kind of stuff. But to get a black person to the University of Kentucky to play basketball was mind-blowing in the 1970s. And I refuse to believe that what we're doing right now is mind-blowing. I refuse to believe it.
It's
I
not.
refuse.
I agree with you 100% there.
I refuse to believe it.
It's
I think
actually
we're all-
easy.
Age, yeah.
Let me
It's
get
actually
Trace.
easy.
Let's go, Trace. Let Trace jump in. Go ahead, Trace.
Well, I think we're all on the same page. They need to, it's not the hardest thing we've ever done. We need to be, but I just don't think we have. And what Paul is saying with Mitch running the show and all these people slow to adapting in this era in the last 20 years, we are slow. Under the last few years, we've been slow to adapt to NIL. They want to.
You're right.
And I agree with you. It's just we haven't done it yet. Like we 100% should be doing it.
And it's very frustrating because it's not as hard as we're making it. And I've talked to people in other athletic departments who have literally said, Kentucky says this, that, and the other, but if you get in a recruiting battle with them, you can beat them because they have issues. And we've seen it. We've seen it even Will Stein, right? We lost some guys that we were leading. We were the highest bidder on. We lost them. So there's flaws in our entire philosophy, but it doesn't affect football the way it affects basketball. But we should figure it out because it's not that complicated to figure out. Other schools are doing it.
Right. It shouldn't be. And that's, Paul, that's what I'm saying is people tell me you have to be patient. I'm like, how long has
I
Dusty
agree with
May,
you. No patience. No.
How long has Dusty May been at Michigan when he take over a win team? Right?
I agree.
I'm in Iowa of all places, and I'm telling these people, hey man, Florida is tough. I don't know if y'all gonna get them. Like we haven't led 1 minute against Florida, and then Iowa puts Florida the fuck out, and I'm like, and they're looking at me like, you said it was hard. I'm like, I guess.
I agree with you. We shouldn't be patient. This is a very easy thing. We're doing something nobody else is doing. Maybe we need to do something that other people are doing where it's working, at least in basketball, because that would fix the problem. We should, like, if anyone says patience in the NIL era, no, this is not a patience thing. This is a stop letting stupid people make the decisions thing.
Let's, for the sake of time, because Terry, I know I'm going to try to get you out of here to watch your Lakers. This whole Billy Donovan effect, the shadow. He's in my opinion, Pope is on the hot seat next season. Looking at this roster, the 10 that's currently on the roster, we're not. I think a majority of BBN are just not dazzled with this team, and it's the consensus here is that this roster is less than this past roster. And now you got Billy Donovan, who is a free agent. He's looks like he's going to sit this season out, but I mean, dude, as soon as if we get anything near from Pope to what we got this past season or next season, what we got this past season, I mean, you gotta throw everything at to get Donovan in, right? As a fan, I mean, that's the time is now. That's the guy that BBN has wanted since what? Tubby left, right?
Yeah.
So now's the time. Trace, I'll start with you. The Billy Donovan shadow effect.
Kevin, let me ask you a question on that topic. So Billy Donovan was good. It was great. What was it? Late 2000, around 2007, 8, that era. I'm not opposed. Like, I'm not like anti Billy Donovan at all. Help me understand how he is going to be. He was good. What, 20 years ago almost.
That's a great
idea. He'll be that good in this era. I'm not saying he won't. I'm just saying, is he gonna be good in this era? He can be, but like, help me understand that he will be.
That's a good. I'm thinking. I don't know if I have the answer to that. Paul, I'll start with you. You answer that.
Well, I mean, there's no doubt that he's going to be the guy that they're going to go to. I mean, there's not going to be someone that you're going to pull with the resume that Billy Donovan has as far as a multi-time national champion, multi-time Final Four winner. I think he'd probably actually have an easier time in the NIL era now when you come from the NBA because you can operate in free agency. He would understand the GM world. He could attract a hell of a staff. I mean, when we think about it, Cal wasn't a great X's and O's guy, right? Robic was. When Robic left, we saw that kind of slide. So you can have coaches that have a deficiency in one way or the other. But I think Donovan coming here would be a huge thing. They're not like, I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, go get Jai Lucas." Like, do you see who Miami's going to get there for their AD? He's the president of Rock Nation. Miami is like Miami's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers in NIL right now. Like Jai Lucas has a blank check to stay in Miami. Plus, I don't think that you go get a guy after his second year. No matter what, if he wins the national title, maybe you throw the Brinks truck at him. But I think the pressure piece is going to be huge because right now, you're right, the roster isn't good. I don't think this is going to be the final roster, but they've got to, we said this a couple of times, they've got to thread the needle now to make it to where it could be a Final Four roster. But if it doesn't happen, you're just going to have a whole year of like dead man walking. And Donovan, I just think, adds the pressure because he's the easiest get. He's the easiest, least risky get. And Trez, I'll kind of counter a little bit too. You're also going to have a new AD, right? So what's the thing that the new AD would want to do? Bring in a guy who has Kentucky ties, who's a multi-time national champion, been to a bunch of Final Fours, understands the SEC, and the fans love. It's a low risk hire. So if he bombs, right, you can kind of say, hey, like that was the guy you wanted.
No,
Okay.
like Paul, I agree with you that most of BBN would be like, go get Billy. If the Pope thing doesn't work, go get Billy Donovan, right? So you can at least show we did what you wanted. But the pushback would be to North Carolina, like they just got Mike Malone. Like we don't know how that's going to work on the court, but he's a championship winning coach on the NBA level. And he's coming to North Carolina with, a GM in place, right? Because North Carolina realized a former player got it. Like, I just keep saying that with Pope, we're not going to get to the 7, 8 win, 9 win plateau. But like North Carolina, it's like, is getting to 20 wins enough? That's where we are. Mark Pope is never going to deliver a bad season where we're like, ooh, egads. But can we get to a 30-win season? That's the question.
Drew, you've not had a chance to talk. You're listening. Give us your takes.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing is kind of like what Paul mentioned, like there's going to be a new AD. So, I mean, even in general, like Pope could have a decent year and like he could feel the need to just cut ties anyways if he doesn't like what he sees out of Coach Pope. Now, I'm not saying that's likely to happen, but like you've seen that in the past with like new ADs taking over, like they want their own guy here.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's something interesting. I think watching Michael Malone this year as well will give us a little bit of, it completely different coach, right? Billy Donovan's coached in college before, but that can kind of give Kentucky fans a little bit of like something to look at and be like, okay, is Michael Malone doing good? Is he doing decent? Is he doing bad? Like to kind of get a little bit of a eyeball at how it could work. But, like Billy Donovan, I mean, he'd be a good hire. I mean, I'm sure he'll be able to recruit. He, has NBA ties. He's a likable guy. He's wired like crazy. I've heard like nobody works harder than him in the coaching world. So, I don't know. I mean, I think the shadow effect probably will be real, especially if he's sitting out for a year. Like that's something to definitely monitor. There was no chance that Kentucky was hiring him when we hired Mark Pope. That was not going to happen. Billy Donovan is a guy that he wants to stick things out. Kentucky would have been so late to hire him. It's why he didn't take the North Carolina job. Like it would have been like another week and a half, 2 weeks after they hired Mike Malone for him to get in the door. So now that he's sitting out, it could be something interesting. But I mean, I hope that it works out with Coach Pope. But like I hate.
We all do. I think we all do.
I would hate to go through another coaching change and those things. But obviously, I mean, if he doesn't get the job done, then you got to make changes because Kentucky basketball is not in a great spot.
No, it's staying true to the TB3 rule. It's not just TB's rule, but it is the rule on this show. It's the TB3 rule, 3-year rule. Well, this roster, Terry, this roster that has these 10 players on this roster right now is not cutting it. He's gonna barely win 20. He's gonna lose 14.
Yeah, but you're also not taking into account the 5-5 rule that's going to kick in, and that's going to be a whole nother portal.
Paul, can you hold on to for that segment?
And look, people can sprinkle in all these differences. The 5-5 rule, the one and done.
Let's go. Let's just
the 3-point change.
Time out.
All I'm saying is, for 85 years, from Coach Rupp taking over in 1932 to Mark Pope taking over in 2024, every coach at Kentucky that coached 3+ years reached an Elite 8 in the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
And you can sprinkle in whatever things you want to say, that has happened.
Yep.
Every 3-year coach reaches the Elite Eight. Every coach since Adolph Rupp has been SEC Coach of the Year, except for the current coach. And you can come back with, well, it's different and bliss. I'm just telling you, that's what happens within 3 years. Within 3 years, we get proof of concept. Are you familiar with that? Anybody familiar with proof of concept? Is, if you remember, Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile. Forever and ever, they thought that no one could break the 4-minute mile. And then he did. And now in 2026, my daughter can break the 4-minute mile because she saw someone do it.
Got it.
What I'm saying is, within 3 years, as Kentucky fans, we have gotten at least an Elite Eight, and the Elite Eight was the guy that got pushed out the door in Eddie Sutton. Every other coach has done more than that within year 3. I'm being generous with year 3, to be honest with you.
Well,
Was it Eddie
pushed.
I
Sutton?
hope
Eddie and Billy G are the only two that have it, right?
Billy G only got 2
Yep.
years. Billy
Okay,
G
you're
lost
talking
Louisville
about at
twice.
least 3 years.
At least 3 years. And I hate to tell you, even Billy G was SEC Coach of the Year.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Even the guy we don't even claim was SEC Coach of the Year.
We don't even claim.
And now I've got a guy that's scrambling to beat Texas A&M. Like, y'all telling me that it's moved this much?
What was the worst we were? What did the worst we finished under Billy G in the SEC? 3rd?
Yes. Yes.
I mean,
Well, and what's that argument about the SEC back then? It wasn't as strong as it is now, which is fair. I mean, it wasn't, but still.
Billy G also
it's
didn't
kind of-
have the rosters that we
He
had.
didn't. No, he didn't either. Yeah.
So
When he had
all I'm
Patterson
saying is,
was his guy then.
by
Go ahead.
year 3,
Yeah.
we have proof of concept that a coach can get it done.
Yep.
And if we go through this next year, and I don't care who we get, somebody international, if Stokes signs, if we are having the same conversation in April of 2027, then the standard has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Then we don't do what we've done. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Let's
And people can say, like, with championships and all this, but I'm like, this is what we do.
Yeah.
You can't change it because you like the coach.
let's go to this 5 what am I saying here? 5 for 5 rule, guys. So basically, for people out there who are not familiar with this is in a sense that the NCAA would grant all athletes, it's not basketball, all athletes 5 years of eligibility to play 5 seasons, effectively eliminating red shirts, right? Fair. So you say goodbye to red shirts, Drew, but you say hello to a 23-year-old senior.
Well, and you say goodbye to,
And then you throw in real quick. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't this a President Trump executive order?
Yes.
Is it right? It is. That it has to be done by like in the summer, July, August, or something. But anyways, Drew, start with you. Go ahead.
well, there's a lot of rule changes that are being thrown around with transfer portal, rules and those things. But this is the one that is gaining the most traction right now.
Yep.
You mentioned it would take away red shirts. It would also take away like 7th year, 25, 26-year-old seniors as well.
We don't want dads playing on our team. No.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, honestly, originally I was kind of against it. I was like, well, let's just leave the kids to 4 years and get them out of here or whatever. But I think if all the rules go into effect, like transfer rules, you get 1 free transfer. If you transfer again, your coach you have to sit out a year. If your coach leaves, you get the transfer for free. Like all these rules being thrown around, I actually like it because I think it makes the system a lot better, and it's better for, I think, the schools, but also better for the student athletes as well. So I'm in favor for it. I mean, I think it's needed to happen, because really anything, like, rules need to happen anyways, because there are no rules right now, and if there are, like, you can maneuver your way around them. So really, I'm just happy to see that rules are being talked about, like, seriously, and actually potentially go into effect to fix college sports. So
You're right.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Trace, my take, in reading this and trying to get familiar with it, to me, it's like the hired gun 5th year guy. What's going to happen, come, and I found this, it's August is when it's supposed to go into effect. How will the transfer portal, I mean, will it explode if every senior now suddenly becomes a free agent? One more year. Go ahead, Trey.
I'm for the rule if it gets approved and passed on through, because it provides stability. This whole world, it's not going to be about, not that I would do the same if I was them, but not that I'm against it. But these players, just, I think I'm going to throw Modi Abate under the bus. Let's go and Kirk Risa every year. Let's just see how much money I can get. I would do the exact same if I was in their position. But I think it's going to provide more stability. And then also you're going to have more retention. A lot of your players are going to stay, I assume, with your team multiple years versus, let me just go here. I mean, Modi Abate went to LSU and they had nobody on the roster, 0. And
He's still the only one.
What is it?
He's still the only player on LSU right now.
Yeah, there you go. I'm saying they're strictly bag work. That's all that is. And I'm not hating on him. I would do it as well if I was him. But that chaos of not knowing next year that the team's going to be entirely different, it's going to give you some stability. So I'm for it. I can't at this moment think of the negatives of it.
TB, you want to jump in on that? Follow up. Hello, TB. Somebody.
No, it's fine. It's a good rule, but I don't know how enforceable it is. I think a lot of people need to read up on what an executive order actually entails. But I think 5 for 5 makes sense, because we're all tired of 24-year-olds playing college basketball, college football. So I think it makes sense, but we'll see if it holds up.
Paul, what you got?
I think this will be if not when. There's a big push for it to happen in May. I think it probably will. No one's on a worse losing streak in the world than the NCAA. You basically can sue them and they lose. It just shows you how bad the governing body actually has been. I think it's a good rule too. I agree with everything everybody said. You need more stability. I think it's going to go back. It will go back to having an importance on your high school recruiting and development a little bit more, which is the way college athletics should be, instead of just your hired guns all the time. I think it would benefit. I think it'll benefit some schools a little bit more than others, right? I think it benefits where Kentucky football is going a hell of a lot more. I think it'll eventually really do well for Kentucky basketball soon. But this year, there is that big push. And look, I've already talked to people that are around Kentucky. Like, if Stokes doesn't sign, Ortega basically has a blank check. Like, he'll and there's a good shot. The only way I think Ortega doesn't come back if he's like, yeah, I don't want to go to class anymore, that kind of stuff, right? But he's not a projected first round pick. He would make way more money going into coming back here. Now, does he want to bet on himself and go for the second contract? That's up in the air. But there's a lot of dudes that are going to be there, and I think you're seeing a couple coaches. LSU might be one of them. Kentucky, I definitely think, is one of them that's kind of patiently waiting in the wings for those guys, because you're right. They're basically going to be mercenaries for hire. And what's going to happen is you're going to have a bunch of these teams that are going to use up so much of their budget that are going to scramble. They're not going to have Kentucky money. LSU has bags of money, right? They're not going to have that. And they're going to be able to go out and snatch up 2 or 3 of these guys. And some of these guys might come off the bench.
Wow,
when they wouldn't have come off the bench somewhere else. I mean, like, there is a world where Stokes comes here. We haven't necessarily gotten a better, like a proven 4 outside of that, the international guy. And Ortega comes back and you have Stokes playing the 4 at times. I mean, there's a world where that happens. So I like the rule. It's going to be chaos this year again, but then I think I think it does provide the stability that we're all looking for in college athletics. Because right now, the portal's fun. It's good for engagement, right? Like it's for us and media doing this, and it's people really pay attention.
Right.
But for the good of the game, long term, it just kind of sucks, and it's going to get to a point where people are going to check out because it ruins how special it is.
Well,
Yep.
also with the rule, like I don't know if there's fine print in there, but it'll be interesting if it does get passed what the actual like wording is. Like, do these guys already have to be in the portal? Because some of them entered the portal. Like
They'll just
if
sue. They'll
yeah,
just sue.
or will they open up a certain transfer portal window for these guys? Like, you know, that's the biggest thing of like, how do they really navigate this, or do they just don't allow
I think
it
it's
this year
easy.
and
You
allow
just
it
give it a
to
2 week. You
next
just give
year?
it. They'll give a 2-week window. All right, if you were in or you're not, if you want to pull out, that's why they have to do it before the draft, right? Like because
Yeah.
then guys that don't get drafted, then they're going to sue for their eligibility back. It'd just be a massive mess if they wait until August. So they need to do it before the draft.
That's a good point. Really,
That's
good
what
point.
I think. I think they'll probably, if they do it, I would lean more that they will take it into effect next year and not right now because of the absolute chaos that it would cause.
But then, Drew, you'll have people suing because the executive orders already happened. That's why I think it'll go really fast now because the NCAA just loses all the time. And that's why I think it'll probably happen before the draft this year.
They don't lose as much as you think. Like they've lost some cases that we point to. The NCAA has not lost as much as we think. There's been some big losses.
They also need to
NCAA. They haven't lost as much as you think.
For something like this too. They need to buckle down and actually like enforce the rules, and whether it's lawsuits or not, like they can still put penalties on teams who, you know, like they, you know, Coach Pope mentioned it himself. Like the NCAA does have a, you know, I guess, you know, they can determine who makes the NCAA tournament. They can control who pretty much makes the college football playoffs. Like they can buckle down if they need to. It's just, yeah, lawsuits obviously like they suck for the NCAA and everybody else, but they also can determine a lot as well. But they need to start buckling down more and put down the authority of like, hey, these are the rules. If, you know, like quit suing, or if you sue, you know, like it doesn't change anything. Even if the courts allow you to be eligible, they can still enforce penalties and rules and stuff like that.
I hate to be that guy,
Well,
but I gotta talk to my hold on. I gotta talk to my Rup to No Good podcast friends as they're live streaming on a Sunday night. I thought we had carte blanche to Sunday night. All right, I'm complaining. All right, real quick, let me get some comments in. Let me share some of the comments and get your all's feedback. Did I miss this? What's the not so good news about tomorrow that Quincy speaks of? Drew, what's Paul, anybody?
I don't even know
I think it's the Slim Jesus kid's going to go to Arkansas. I don't know if you were actually really thinking that he was going to go to Kentucky. I don't know. You don't think that's good news, but he got crystal ball for Arkansas.
Okay. All right. And then what's this? How many, Dr. Miller time? How many of y'all believe Pope will be here after this year? Raise of hands.
I got to see the roster first.
It's not done. We get it. But Paul, even you have to admit you're not dazzled with this roster.
It's 50-50. No, it's 50-50 right now. And
then you got
if this is the roster, we're not even going to the NIT.
Oh.
And then you got Donovan in free agent mode too. So
well, and also, I mean, the new AD, like who knows, maybe he can pull some of the big fish out in college basketball that we're just thinking of our last search or what just happened at North Carolina, but Kentucky hires a new AD, like who knows who he could pull too. So it's not just
I'd push back on that, Drew, just because we're seeing this across not only college basketball but college football. The big guys aren't leaving, right? Like look at Penn State, took them like 2.5 months to get a coach, right? Like the money that's at these programs, if the coach is good, they go get the extra money, they give them the extra NIL, they pay them more money. That's where NIL's kind of made this a little bit more level playing field. until that trend changes, no one's gone out and done it in the last 2 or 3 years. So maybe we are, but I just don't think that that's going to happen, because the comfort of staying where you're at and the success, and you have a less hot seat than coming to Kentucky knowing it's going to be on effing fire if something doesn't work. The risk reward's different. Like, it's not worth the extra $1 million a year you might get.
Is this this would be accurate? So a 25-year-old player from overseas can play in the NCAA until he's 30?
No,
No.
No.
I think there's a certain deadline of age. Like, it might have been 25 or 26. I think like you're literally cut off from playing in NCAA sports.
Is there?
I thought it was like from when they graduate high school or their 18th birthday.
Yeah.
Like, there's something there
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
I
5
don't
years
know
from high school
that.
or 18.
Yeah, I don't
I
remember.
mean,
any-
Granted,
weird
there are
'cause
dads that are playing right now, but yeah.
Randy Garrison.
Overseas, what does that even mean? Like, that's the fine print. Like, we're painting in broad strokes. What is overseas? What does high school mean?
Right.
Overseas, does anybody know? In Finland, what that looks like? Like, we don't know what that means. And so
They have
people
the
smarter
same
than me,
age kind of school structure over there as we do, but they don't
But
play
it's
the
not
high
exact-
school sports
like-
we do.
right? But that's the point I'm making is we say high school. What does that mean in Finland? What does that mean in Slovakia?
but see,
right.
that's the
People smarter than me.
I was going to say that's the stuff that the NCAA has to discuss before they put these rules into effect, because if not, people are going to find loopholes like they've done through the NIL, the
Thank
COVID
you.
stuff.
That
These are the things that the NCAA has to discuss, and they have got to get it right if they're going to make rule changes. If not, loopholes, lawsuits, like what Paul was mentioning, lawsuits are going to happen. Like, they have got to get this in fine print of every single possible situation.
That's the point I'm making. Like, we can talk about, of course, a 23-year-old can't play. Lawyers that make $1,000 an hour are going to get to the minutia of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm talking about. Is we can paint in broad brushes. Like, of course, a 25-year-old couldn't play. Do you know the structure in Sweden? I don't. Somebody has to figure that out to make sure we don't have 30-year-olds playing college basketball.
I think that's
That's
why
all
it
I'm
says
saying.
18 or you're graduating high school, because we have 19-year-olds that graduate high school here, right? So I think that's why it puts the age stipulation of 18 or graduating high school.
That's just the executive order, but that, like, I can write a piece of paper on the executive order. Like, we're holding that like it's law. It's got to go through a process.
Sure. We're just talking in the superficial right now.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know, let me one program that has killed it with the portal, sad but true, is the local school here in my town, Louisville, Kentucky. Cards, they've done a great job with their portal. However,
I hate their team. I think the construction of that team stinks.
We'll see how that plays out. But where I'm going with this is that you got it for this 5 for 5 thing. Somewhat like a program like Louisville. Who's the Ryan? What's his name?
Ryan Conwell.
Conwell. A kid like that who probably is not going to be a high, a first round draft pick. If he
mocked this 53, I think right now.
Yeah. So if he's in a position, he would be in a position definitely to come back and make some money. But does he, obviously with Louisville's, with all their spending, I don't think Kelsey's looking at the big picture when it comes to the 5 for 5. And you got, I guess where I'm going with is that now how many teams out there are in a position to bring back a player who was a senior on their team because they have have the money or they don't have the money. Is Pope maybe looking big picture and knew of this 5-for-5 and could potentially reel in a player or two that becomes really a fifth-year senior would be pretty much an elite player for the program. Fair, foul? What am I off here? Somebody? Bueller? Trace?
I mean, Kentucky.
Or Drew, go ahead. Drew, keep talking.
Yeah, I mean, Kentucky definitely is in the spot where they could improve from that. I mean, yeah, Pope was waiting around for the 5-for-5. He might get it sitting on his golden, or he might get a golden ticket for it, but I don't think he should have done that. And I hope that's not what he's doing, is just waiting around hoping a rule change happens. Like,
I was giving him the benefit of the doubt, but I don't think that's
I'm going to be the farthest person from just using that as an excuse of why the roster looks the way it does. But what do I know? Maybe he knows some top secret stuff that we don't know, and he's going to end up putting together, and he's going to end up grabbing 4 or 5 fifth-year senior, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, Kentucky's the number 1 preseason team in the country. Like, I don't know, but I hope, and I don't think he was operating under that assumption.
Yeah, if that plays out, then all of a sudden Billy Donovan was like, oh, shit. Well, I had a $10 million payday waiting for me in a year.
I'm going to disagree a little. I think it's exactly what he's doing. I think he does know. I think it's a culmination of. I think he's waiting on a couple dudes that are maybe going to make NBA decisions, and I think there's a couple guys in that 5-and-5, and I think and some other international guys. And then if Stokes comes. I think that's kind of the way that it's getting looked at. Because if you notice, when that 5-and-5 thing really kind of kicked in, and a lot of the chatter about that rule change, like it kind of was like Kentucky went like a screeching halt. And even McBride, they were recruiting another guy. Kentucky told them they had McBride for the backup role, and now McBride's not even like committed, because now I think Kentucky's even like there's going to be other options. There's the guy I forgot his name. Played at Minnesota, power forward, averaged 20 points a game, shot 41%. K Tyson, yeah. Like, that's one that I think that they would look at and salivate over. I think Otego, if Stokes doesn't come, I mean, you're bringing back another 3 that basically could is a 20 point per game. If you add like those 2 guys alone, Kentucky, your roster all of a sudden goes from good to borderline elite. You add one more guy, and now it's elite, right? So I think they are playing that game a little bit. At this point, it's probably not a stupid game to play because a lot of the elite pieces are off the board. So it's kind of like, hey, if you're going to go down, at least go down with a chance to go get 2 or 3 more dudes that would be hyper elite. And if it works, look, if it works, it changes the narrative. If it doesn't work, you're probably out of a job anyway, but you weren't getting the top guys. I also think there has been talk about Graves or Milan, and there's a lot of money on the table potentially for one of those guys. So, I think they're playing that cat and mouse right now. It's high risk, but if it works, I mean, that's why I tell people, like, there is still a chance Kentucky has an elite roster next year. They just got to thread a needle. But if it happens, we're all excited. If not, we're, talking about Billy Donovan all summer.
Michelle Morton, can we start, please? Can we start over? Just got back from happy hour. I tell you what, but I'll send you my Venmo. You hook me up. I will start this show all over and entice Trace, who has
Michelle's
to leave.
Great. She watches about 20 hours of Kentucky
Is
stuff every
she
week,
the most
so
loyal BBN fan as far as all the podcasts out here? So Michelle, love you. Thank you. All right. So let's
Michelle's great, man.
Yeah, she is great. Mitch Barnhart. That golden parachute got grounded. Wow.
Let me just say this.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't this all basically because of our governor? Is that fair? because he put out.
I mean, I would like to think that we all played a big role in that freaking thing.
That's and you know what? Let's say this, and you're right, because during this stretch, once that got announced that Barnhart was getting this this freaking almost $1 million handout, a lot of BBN voiced their opinions, voiced their concerns, and all this stuff. So to your point, Paul, you're right. Governor Beshear might have been the person who made the final turn of that jar that we were all struggling to open, and he put the post out, and here we are. So on April 23rd, my birthday, y'all can give me belated birthday.
Happy belated birthday.
Yeah,
I was
Happy birthday, Kevin.
Sing it.
Happy birthday.
After.
No, we'll chat. So Barnhart on 4/23, April 23rd, is no longer taking this executive in residence role. Paul, you have been someone that I have totally relied on when it came to Mitch and this golden parachute. What say you about him and no longer taking this role?
I mean, the fact that he's just not going to be associated with Kentucky is just a fantastic thing. I saw something where I think Matt Jones said it, and it makes a lot of sense. He's like, it's like a couple of these other guys like Cal or Stoops or whatever. At the end of the tenure, you don't care about the other stuff he did because of what happened, right? And I mean, look, Mitch is 5 years too long from being out of this job. I think he's a dinosaur. I think it's interesting that the governor basically used it to get engagement. So whoever advised him to do that, and he really didn't give a shit about that. Actually, it was really about the dean of law, because you saw that in his subsequent posts and everything that kind of went out. But it was actually, but it still got the traction, right? Like ESPN picked it up, Yahoo picked it up, CBS, everybody ran with it. Like, holy shit, look at this, and it caused the pressure that we've all been giving, right? Like, and this isn't just like, I don't want to take a dunk on this. I've been very critical of Mitch Barnhart for 2 straight years, so I'm very happy. But I think for the good of I think 2 things it did. A, it gets Mitch away from the program. You needed that. And B, I think it all but guarantees and solidifies you're not going to get Mark Hill or Rachel Baker as your athletic director, which is all 3 things are huge wins for the future of the University of Kentucky. And to what we've been talking about earlier with like TV, getting people in here that can actually fix some of these problems, because the current administration that we've seen either doesn't have the competency or is too stupid to adjust to fix these problems.
Trace, jump in.
Ain't it, as Paul was going through that, ain't it ironic how, the end, how all 3 of their exits happened, Stoops, Cal, and now Barnhart, how you thought it was going to be this thing, and we were like, wait a second, this doesn't, like, the Cal interview of him coming back, and everyone's like, what, this is weird, and then we almost get bailed out. I don't know if that's the right word, but now Barnhart's not going to be associated with the program. We didn't really want him to. Cal gave us a favor, and then Mark Stoops was a nice enough guy to say, hey, you can give my buyout over X amount of years. It's weird how it all works out, because you got, for a second there, thought like, oh shit, here we go. We get kind of bailed out.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good take. TB, what are you thinking, feeling?
Yeah, like I probably was the last person on Mitch Barnhart Island, but a lot of things have come over the last few years where I'm like, that dude's got to go. And I think people are focused on what men's basketball is doing.
There's also a couple of scandals going on.
That's
right?
what I'm getting to is we're talking about men's basketball and football, but I'm like, I implore people to go to the Pablo Torre podcast on the Riley Gaines situation. And I'm not here to debate that. What I'm here to debate is one of the former University of Kentucky swimmers said, I can't care about this because my head coach raped my teammate. And the response from the university to that, to me, is disqualifying to continue to be athletic director.
100%.
The same way with the cross-country coach. I know people don't give a shit about women's sports. I have 2 daughters playing sports, right? So to me, your response to that is disqualifying. I don't care what you built on Alumni Drive. I don't care about any of that other stuff. I don't care about the men's basketball stuff. But I'm tired of seeing my university drug through the mud and the athletic director is twiddling his thumbs. He's got to go. Like, full stop.
And the cheerleading skit, the hazing thing that we had a couple years ago too, right? Like this is all
right.
It's all been handled and tried to be pushed under the rug and discredited. And I agree with you, man. That's so well. I had 2 daughters too, so this stuff pisses me off.
Yes.
You
mentioned. Hold on. Well, you mentioned the cheerleaders. Give a quick shout out. I know I don't talk much outside of basketball and football. The cheerleading wins another title. Just say it. But anyway, go ahead.
It was basically what has happened with all the other things with these women's sports is the coach or assistant coach gets too cozy. Okay. And we can all pretend like we don't know what that means. But if you have a daughter, you know what the fuck that means when somebody gets too cozy. All right. Let me just put it like that. And so what has happened is for most of these coaches, it's like a year-to-year or maybe a 2-year contract. And so the university has investigated, the coach's contract ends, and it's like, he doesn't work here anymore, so we're good to go. And for me, I'm like, fuck that. If I can be so blunt, like, no, those young women that wear Kentucky across their chest should be just as protected as we are about the people that play in Rupp Arena for Mark Pope. We
100.
should protect all of them. And so for this athletic administration to be like, well, he doesn't work here, so we're good to go. No, fuck that. He's got to go. So I'm going to end that right here.
And that's only the things that the public knows about. And I'll just leave it at that.
Oh,
that's another.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And it's the thing, Paul, like the stuff we know about is terrible. And when I tell people, it's like, it's the stuff you don't know about that's way fucking worse.
Yep. So, as a podcaster doing a show, I mean, Kentucky sports right now is like, I mean, we can talk. Usually with Round of Shots, I shut it down. I was a seasonal show. I would stop it, after basketball season and pick up, a month before the football season starts. But I don't think this is the case. I think we're going to be on every Sunday for a while, and I get to hang with
a lot of foolishness. A lot of foolishness there, Kevin.
Oh, good stuff. Here's what's this? Let me bring this comment up. Paul, this is Shannon Payne. Thanks for your comment. And this has been addressed before, but Paul, you know this better. Do you all think that JMI is a huge part of why we are not getting recruits? And we've shared that narrative with JMI.
I want to say
help her.
I think it's a part because we've heard players, coaches, recruits, agents, all of it across the board saying something or the other about the language of the contract. I refuse to also believe that you miss out on however many guys we've gotten into the last 2 or to the finish line when you go into contract negotiations, that it's all on Mark Pope. I mean, if you want to say he should have hired a GM, yep. Should he be stronger to get these situations fixed? I agree. But like all these things about like, Mark Pope and recruiting and showing him acting like a buffoon, maybe that's partly there. But and I know we have misses and there has been stuff the staff has fumbled, but I don't know if it's like the odds tell you that it can't be 20 for 20, right? Like you can't be every top recruit we've had, every top guy in the portal. We've been highest bidder for stuff. I do think that we, and KSR, Pilgrim, and Polachek put it out, right? Like there's inhibitive language in there that talks about, signing your NIL over. And people don't understand in basketball, it's way more of the individualism and the money off of your individual, who you are, is much higher. Like nobody in here knows who the number 1 football recruit is. He's not getting a Nike deal. He's not getting an Adidas deal, right? How many of those guys actually get deals or have sniff a deal like that in college? So you have to have more of a free flowing agreement there. And I think some of the agents don't like the language that's in it. And then, I think Pope probably doesn't help it. I think it's just a cocktail there. Where in football, it is a little bit more about what the bottom dollar line is, because it's your marketability is going to be very much more regional. So
that was another comment. Is JMI just a basketball thing, or
I think I definitely think it's more. It's hurting basketball more than football. It's an easy fix, but this goes into I think some of the issues is more so administration restrictions on JMI than it may be actual JMI itself. I know some people over at JMI. There's some really good recruiting, guys there. I think that they could have a little bit more openness where you could allow other collectives. I think that there could be some other mechanisms that you could be, if it's less, I think in the restrictiveness, I think if you open it up a little bit more, you'd have a lot more success. But also Pope's got to dial it in too and be the guy like Will Stein's kind of like, oh yeah, we're going to change the catwalk. Oh, you should do this for notice football's PR is out the window right now. Like he's basically said, fuck that to everything with the PR and doing whatever he wants. He did it with the catwalk. You got to have a coach that's going to come in and have some swagger to be like, that's fucking stupid. We're doing it this way. I don't think that's also where I think that's a fair criticism of Pope.
Yep.
They're also already doing the locker room, the weight training room. They're already regutting it and putting new stuff in. Yeah. What are you saying? Just let's make it how it needs to be. Let's do it now. He's only been here, 3 or 4 months?
Can I jump in on the JMI thing?
Go ahead, Drew.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Paul was saying. Me and him, we've kind of disagreed in the past with the JMI thing, and that's fine. But for me personally, I think JMI definitely has an impact. But I put more at fault to Coach Pope because, you can blame JMI this, JMI that, but at the end of the day, Kentucky had the most expensive roster in the country last year. They'll probably have a top 10, maybe even a top 5 this year, depending on who it is. Could even be top 3. If the money is there, how is JMI at fault when the players don't want to come here? Especially when we've seen, if it was just 1 or 2 or just a handful of misses, okay, maybe there is something there, but when it's been 20 to 30 legitimately misses or recruiting mishaps in the 3 off season that Pope's recruited, at some point we can't blame the people that are just writing contracts. At some point that's on Coach Pope.
Right. But Pope doesn't write the contracts, and so you can't always say he gets to the end either and be like every time was hit So we get to the contract phase and we lose these guys at the end when you're negotiating to get them to sign on the bottom line. That the coach doesn't do that. That's not a coach mechanism, and the money doesn't matter. If you have $30 million, but you're saying, well, you got to do Bank of the Bluegrass and you got to do Paul Miller Ford, and they're like, fuck that. I want to do Nike and I want to do Adidas and Dick's Sporting Goods. And you're like, well, you're going to go get those deals on your own. We're not going to help facilitate that. And you can't use another collective to come in that's going to be in here with those connections to get it. That's where you're missing these, because guys are taking deals with less money not to come to Kentucky because of the contract language. It's not always that. Now, Pope, you're right, Drew. Pope is to blame. I would say it's probably 50-50. But that 50% is still bad, because when you have that's the misnomer about NIL. NIL is not just about the check, right? It's about the structure of what can you do. It's how does the brand of this player move forward? And then also it's the viability of where could that brand go? So if you can't sign your NIL rights over, now you can only do, those places, which no disrespect to them, right? Now, all of a sudden, your marketability is less, because now maybe you've come to Kentucky. Now you're a superstar. You're leading the nation in scoring. And now Dick's wants to do a deal with you. Well, now you got to do that all on your own. The school's not going to help you. You're not going to be able to wear the school marks or anything like that potentially either, because there's no give and take there. That's something where it's well, I can go here and make $200,000 less, but I have a potential to make $3 million more if I ball out.
But we just saw Takeaway, though, right after the shot, get the deal with Buffalo Wild Wings. maybe part of the problem is Kentucky hasn't had any like serious marketable guys since Pope has been here to legitimately have these big things. Otega Owe was on a Raising Cane's commercial throughout February and March too. Like
But Raising
he
Cane's
was-
is also local to Kentucky.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's
Put
also
over your shoulder.
I got a Raising. I got a Raising
Oh,
Cane's right here. in
hold on,
Iowa,
real
so-
quick. I got to do my man Trace a solid. He did hit me up and said he needed to bail at 10:30, and
we appreciate it, Trace.
we're gonna. But Trace, I know you're gonna bail. Let's give me your final shot. I'll let you go, and thank you so much for always hanging with us.
Yeah. Final shots. I've got a lot of my. I usually go the negative route. I got a lot of my ones that I hate off the last few times. I'm gonna go positive for once. Try to be more positive. If you the Oreos that have the peanut butter flavor inside of them are light years better than any other Oreo, especially the regular Oreo. I'm just putting that out there. If you haven't had them, get them.
See, that's.
I'm
the
a
kind of
fist
final
fight you
shot I want.
because I love the double stuff. I'm a fist fight you, Trace. Next time
Hey,
I'm in
double
Kentucky, I'm
stuff
gonna look you
is
up.
love
I
it.
understand the double stuff. That's top 3 for me for sure.
All right, okay. Well, I won't fist fight you because I
Trace,
can't fight.
thank you as always, my brother.
Love you, buddy.
Thank you
All right.
all.
All right, we'll hit you up later.
See ya.
All right, sorry, Trace is gone. I'll just. All right, so we're not final shot, but are we done talking? Yeah, I mean,
The issue is, I think what Drew and Paul are saying is, whatever it is, you got to close because I am John Q. average fan. I'm tired of Kentucky getting the top 2 or 3, and then the kid going somewhere else.
all right.
I don't
Look,
know if it's Pope or it's JMI. What I'm saying is, I'm tired as fuck as watching Kentucky get in the top 3, 4, 5, and we're not closing.
and
That's
I'm
all
tired
I'm
of
saying.
I'm tired of us having to pivot to like our second or third options as well because we can't close on the first option.
I know.
Look, I'll say this. I don't know how many guys in here have seen NIL contracts or talked to the lawyers that do NIL contracts.
If Rick Pitino
Like,
can close on Jamal
I have some people I
Mashburn,
know that do this world, and that's why when I say these things, that I say them kind of adamantly, it's because I've seen them. Like, I've actually seen an NIL contract. I've actually seen a negotiation, right? So I agree with you. It's not 100% on that, but it's definitely a contributing factor.
no, and I'm tipping my hat to you because I have not. All I'm saying, Paul, is for 85 years, no matter what college basketballs look like, Kentucky has come out on top. No matter what. I refuse to believe that we're going to just be like, well, the world's different with NIL. I just refuse to believe that. As a
I
Kentucky
promise
fan.
you, if we had a coach that players legitimately died to play for, they would sign that contract. If we had this deal in 2010 to 2009, Cal wanted somebody, those players would have signed that contract.
Cal knew that this deal was coming and what the setup was and left. Like, we can say he did us a solid, but Cal also knew 100% that what Mitch was doing in the NIL space, and he got a get out of jail free card from Arkansas and bailed because he knew it wasn't going to work the way he wanted it to. So, like, that's a fact too. Like,
also was on the downward trajectory at his Kentucky,
but he was still recruiting. He was still getting top 5 classes. So we can't move the needle. If you're going to say that's the thing. Yeah. That he was still getting it. Now, he wasn't winning, but he was still getting the dudes, and he left because he didn't think he was going to still get them.
Could this be the Kenny Walker or just kidding? All right, sorry. Go ahead.
All I'm saying is, no matter what the world looks like, Kentucky eats, and I refuse to believe in 2026 that we're just like, well, we'll figure it. Like, I refuse to believe that whoever's responsible.
The last couple of years, though,
as John Q fan, what
have we ate the last couple of years? Though?
What are you talking about?
You said Kentucky eats. Right?
We were getting dudes on campus, and Cal was not doing the X and O's. Look, you want to put the Cal thing on me that I defended Cal. I did because he's a Hall of Fame coach. Right now, we have a coaching situation which is unproven, both on the floor and in recruiting. Like, we could talk about recruiting is easy. Is it? We could talk about X and O's is easy. Is it? All I'm saying for John Q fan out there whose grandpappy was a fan of Adolph Rupp, we keep talking about these details. They don't give a shit. All they want is Kentucky to win.
Right.
We won with Rupp's runts. We won before Negroes could play. We won before the three-point shot. We won before all these things. And all of a sudden, people are telling these Kentucky fans that have been fans for 4 generations, hey, we don't know, man. Y'all got to just make do. Really? We got to make do while Iowa makes an Elite Eight? We got to make do while Iowa State puts Kentucky out? We got to just be like, oh, well, is that what we're saying?
No, that should not be what we're saying.
But that's what I'm hearing is because it's this reason, it's that reason. I don't give a shit. Dusty May probably doesn't even know the words to Hail to the Victors, but you know what he knows? I won a championship. I don't like the fucking coach at UConn, but he's out here running circles around a blue blood in my home state, and I'm supposed to be like, well, hey, the world's different. I don't want to be different. I want to be Kentucky. I want to be fucking better.
King.
We've been better for 85 years. We're going to be better because the people of Kentucky deserve it. There's not a lot of stuff in Kentucky to root for, right? We're the top 5 or bottom 5 of education. We're the bottom 5 of all this. The one thing that's brought Kentucky people together is Kentucky basketball.
Yep.
And I refuse to believe, hey, well, we'll just figure it out. Hey, the world's different. Okay, no, right, sure, whatever. Okay, cool.
All right, let's wind this down. It is, where's my little tag? Here it is. It's not official until I show it. Final shot time. Shots. Final shots. Drew, give us your final shot of the night.
Final shot. My final shot is, can Tyron Stokes please commit this week? Like, this thing needs to get over. I mean, it's crazy, but in all seriousness, like, it is a big decision. And I thought he actually laid out a good quote on whatever he was on when he said, like, let me lay it out for a normal person, imagine trying to choose a job, but for a year, but you don't know what you're really getting yourself into and those things. But I'm just ready for the recruitment to end. My final shot is, this is legitimately the weirdest recruitment in my 23 years of life that I have ever seen. And
with Stokes, you're saying?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And I
just want to know, when you were like 4 years old, you were really invested in.
No, but I was probably about 11.
Okay, fair.
10 or 11. I was in the weeds following every single thing with every recruitment that whoever Kentucky was recruiting and those things. This is by Zion probably takes the lead right now of a weird recruitment that I can remember just off the top of my head right now. But Tyron has surpassed that by
Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins was later than Stokes.
Okay, yeah.
And what's crazy is that the 2 longest, weirdest recruitments could both go Kansas way.
Yeah.
Something about Bill Self, I guess.
Yeah. All right, Paul, while you're bringing your strong vocals, give us your final shot.
Look, I'm getting on the road a lot more now. I'm not home as much, so I know everybody's incessantly with the transfer portal, but like, the final shot I have is, make sure you're still connecting with what's important. Family time, your kids, Kentucky basketball, kind of to what TV said, right? Kentucky basketball will endure, right? They're going to figure it out. It's going to happen. I've seen some really good things, but also some real ugliness out of people in this fan base over the last 2 weeks. And it's just, remember that this is sports. It's not life. There's some real things going on in people's lives, and just to know that moment of kindness could potentially, be a good thing. So enjoy it. Spend time with your family. If you have kids, them, your mom, your dad, if they're still alive, and realize every day is a gift from God. You get to have one more day, enjoy it.
Well said. Amen.
Yeah.
TB, take us home, my brother.
I was able to piggyback off what Paul said. I was able to go back to my hometown, Louisville, Kentucky, and watch my youngest daughter run her track meet. She runs the 400, and she finished first place at her meet this week. I got to watch it actually in person, and like Paul said, they're like, I've watched videos of her. She's won first place before, she's won medals before, but to be there when your kid crosses the finish line in first place, I can't even put the words. What I will say is my only beef is, and I'll wrap this up, is Mama Kelsey when Jason and Travis played in the Super Bowl, way too calm. My daughter is doing this local track thing, and I am freaking the fuck out.
Losing your mind.
She's like, this is great. I'm like, I am losing my mind. And people looking at me, but what Paul said is it's absolutely accurate. Go there, be there for your people. Kentucky basketball is important, but there's a lot of stuff that should come before that on your dance card. So that's my final shot of the night.
I'll say this: I try to squeeze a final shot in when I remember to. I celebrated a birthday this past Thursday. It's one of those where I don't know. Long story short is that I struggled with this number, and I guess to piggyback off what Paul and TB said is that you get to a certain point of your life where you just realize there's just certain things that just matters the most, and first and foremost, it's family. It's the people that you love. It's the people that love you. It's the people that love me unconditionally, for all my major fuck ups in life. And so, yeah, it's one of those times where you get that yearly reminder where, for me at my age, I'm big picture. I'm not going to live to be 120 years old. So that makes me on the back half of my life. And I'm very appreciative of family and you guys, because tonight I get to do something on a Sunday night outside of family, where priority is family, but sports is my getaway, is our getaway of the real world. And we love
this is family too.
Yes.
Like the people that watch, the people we talk with. I love Drew. I love Paul. I love Kevin. I love Trace. I love Dave.
Yeah.
That we can come together.
Yeah.
Because look, my wife. Look, I know we need to wrap this up, but I'm here in Iowa, right? I wear my Kentucky stuff all over the place. I will still be stopped by a Go Cats. Okay. Like wherever I go and I wear Kentucky,
and that makes it worth it wearing it. It makes it worth it.
I've had it happen in like 4 countries. It's cool.
Right. I had a friend that went to a safari in Africa, wore a Kentucky hat, and somebody was like, "Go Cats." So when we say Big Blue Nation, it's not just a marketing ploy.
It's not the free 52.
It is, like Paul said, wherever you go on earth, you will run into Kentucky fan and be like, "Hey man, what do you think?" Look, I'm gonna tell y'all quick something. Like I was driving back from Kentucky to Iowa. I had somebody stop me. It's like, hey, Will Stein is my cousin. What do you think about the Cats? I don't think you get that anywhere else, but with Kentucky. That's what I love about you guys. Anything. Wrap it up, Kevin.
Yeah, well, it is.
You know, it's interesting because you've got like three different walks of life on this call, right? You got the baby and who I can call you baby because I'm going on 41, so I could legally probably
He's
be
our
your dad's
adopted son.
You know, and it's like and the thing is like and to see what TB's saying, you know, I travel a lot. I don't have as much time with my kids when they're younger right now, but I'm doing it all for them, right? Like the things, the sacrifices, the travels, the everything that we've done. And I like when with TB saying, hey, like he got to see his kid do it. I'm sure he had stuff and sacrifices and time that he wished he could have nights back with his daughters and stuff. And it's the reward that you have because, you know, my son doesn't understand why I'm leaving. And it's like, man, like I'm leaving, so you have a life that I never had. And it's the family when, you know, I was driving up to a hotel right now because I have an early flight. So I drove up to Cincinnati because I didn't want to wake up at 4. Right. And so it's those little things that I got to do this and have a brain break and be with you guys and talk about this. And TB's right. There is no other fan base that you get to do this with.
Mm-hmm.
None. Like I've talked to people from all over the Midwest. They're like, hey, you Kentucky fans are different. And so I appreciate all this.
Yeah, Tyron Stokes.
That we get to do.
And you know, real quick, I got one of my other, I do other podcasts, and one of my other podcasts I do is paranormal. For the record, guys, you know, this, I don't know if you follow this on social media, but it's all over. It's so mainstream. This whole UFO alien thing, it's Trump is
like the guys disappearing and stuff.
Oh, that's
like those two. That's weird.
Those are, So my point is that once the aliens do announce that they are here, that they really are here, do they lean? Are they BBN? How many of them are BBN? How many
anybody BBN? Are they eligible? They got any eligibility left? We need a power forward.
That's what I'm wondering. Can a couple of them hoop?
Yeah.
Do they look like the Monstars? Like not the midget one, like the big ones.
Yeah, the big ones. Yeah.
We don't want the little Steven Spielberg ET one. We don't
want the Muggsy Bogues one. We need one preferably 7'3", 7'4". And if he can shoot 35% from 3, he'll work great in the Zoom offense.
There you go.
The Sean Bradley one.
Yeah. We've taken the whole alien angle to a different.
I love you guys. I enjoy doing it. So I appreciate y'all having me.
All right. Shutting it down, everyone in the chat. Thanks for hanging with us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the comments. Appreciate you all. Birthday shout outs, everyone. It's a Sunday night thing I get to do with my my partners in crime and you guys in the chat.
Yeah.
All right, so we got we'll be back Derby weekend next weekend. Oh, we don't talk Derby. But anyways, it is Derby weekend. We'll be back next Sunday for Drew, TB, Paul, Davo, who is getting well. We'll be back next Sunday with Round of Shots. Everyone have a good week. Derby week here in the Ville. It's a big time here. Yes, so we'll see you all next Sunday.
City looking
Peace
great.
out.
Baby.
Yeah. Peace
Stay
out.
safe, everyone.
All right. Have a good night. See you.
Yep.
Later. See you.